Good evening, salutations, my YNR fans. Uh, I one second. This episode, this show is very interesting because here's the thing: when it's hot, when it's going, you got the suspense going, all this other stuff with Ashland and everything like that. It's great, and I'm pretty sure other people's stories are exciting when they do get exciting. And then you have episodes like this where you're just like, does everyone actually want to kind of explain to me why they like this show? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's a bad show, but like, let's talk about the scene between Ray and Chelsea. First of all, I think Chelsea getting way too comfortable sitting there talking to um uh, another man, talking to a man who's in a marriage, who's married. I mean, he is married to Sharon, right? So, like, she's just way too comfortable Smithy talking to somebody's husband. But I get it. They're friends and they kind of mended fences. I mean, here's the thing. First of all, this conversation is just boring as hell. But then I had to sit there and take a look at the subject. And, the advice that Ray was Smithy giving now, I get it. Ray has a stepdaughter and, yada, yada, yada. But I, I guess in a way he is kind of a parent, but I feel like in a lot of ways he's not a parent. Like he was I don't know how long he was spent there taking care of that child. I don't know if he just pops in every now and then or anything like that, or is it just the day to day activities? My point is I feel like when he was spent there giving advice to her, it was like, bro, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have a different perspective. And she did sit there and ask. So it wasn't like he was like crossing the line or anything like that. But I'm like, bro, you're not a parent. And yet you're sitting there giving advice to someone who is a parent about children. And you don't really have any. And granted, again, I'm new to the party. I just know that, from what I understand, he is a stepdad. But I don't know how much of an active role he takes in that child's life. So I just kind of look at it like, how are you dispensing advice for parents or for a parent and you're not one yourself? I don't really understand how it works. Um, I'm gonna be honest. I think that Billy handled this whole situation a hell of a lot better than I would have when it comes towards the Ice Princess. But he is there. He is listening. He is being understanding. He is not there judging her. He's not saying "I told you so." He is just being a sounding board and a good friend because at the end of the day, yeah, they have kids, and yeah, he could be nice to her because of the kids, but I mean, listen, let's put it this way. If I'm in that situation and we have kids together, yeah, we can have kids together and we could be, we could be on speaking terms, but there is no way in hell I don't think I'm gonna be as gracious as he was. Even for my own children, I would not sit there and be that level of gracious. I wouldn't yell, I wouldn't curse or anything like that. I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe having kids will sit there and surprise you and push you past a horizon that you didn't sit there and think you can have or you can be or you can plateau to. But yeah, I just no, 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 no. Especially after the way that she was meant to act to everyone, including him. Whew, man. I mean, from what I understand, I heard he put her through the ringer, so it's not like he has that much room to judge. But yeah, no, no, no. But he was nice. He was gracious. Even in the beginning when she was acting all icy, he was he was a better person than most people would have been. Let's just put it that way. Now, Ashton did wind up, running into her, and apparently he was looking for her for a while. I didn't watch that episode um, of everyone convincing her the truth because in the beginning, I'm going to be honest, she was irking my damn nerves, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to move forward. I'm just going to move forward. Like, I started watching the episode a little bit, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to move forward because she is getting on my damn nerves. It's only been a few minutes, so congratulations. Um, Now, Ashlyn was sitting there talking to Adam, and Adam's like, listen, I'll make you a deal. You you get out of Dodge, you don't make it difficult for us to be our company and you can do whatever the hell it is that you want with your people or whatever. You just leave. If you don't leave, then I'm gonna come at you at the press and everything like that. And while you may sit there and think you can handle it, I don't know if your son can handle it. He may sit there and see you in a different light. So if I was you, I'll take you off. Now, of course, Ashton's like, don't ever sit there and bring my son again, and, the threats, this, that, and third. But like Sally said, you know, when Adam approached um Ashlyn, he didn't seem like he was ready to move. He was like, yo, bro, I'm good. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm chilling. Uh, you know, I want to parse you. Unfortunately, we live in a small town, so yeah, so kind of hard to avoid you. But that kind of sucks about being in a small town. I mean, to be fair, I can imagine there's probably way more than just like two coffee places. So, but then again, I never actually lived in a small town, so I don't know. Um, yeah, he was all confident in the beginning. He seemed like he was ready to stand his ground, and although he put on a brave front, he couldn't wait to sit there and leave. Now, you know, what is going to be his comeback strategy? What is he going to sit there and do? Um, Now, Victor, Nikki, and Nick. Now, here's the thing. I don't know all the bad stuff that Victor has done. I say that because in the beginning, I remember I used to sit there when I was watching Days. When I first started watching Days, I was like, you know what? Ben is okay. He's not that bad. He's okay. I kind of like him so far. And then people were sitting there coming at me in the comment section talking about, Ben was a serial killer. How could you sit there and like him? What is wrong with you? I'm like, I just started watching this show just like a few weeks ago. It was wrong with me. It was wrong with you. You just anyway. I mean, granted, obviously I have more tougher skin because, well, if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But, so far, I like Victor. He's a very interesting character. I know he's done some very questionable things that I was not, privy to as far as watching it. But, I enjoy the character so far. And with that being said, I'm going to be honest, their scenes just were so difficult to sit there and get through. I'm like, and I actually like Victor so far. It was still just a task to sit there and watch their scenes. I mean, all they sat there and did was wonder about Victoria. How is Victoria? How are we going to sit there and handle the fallout with Victoria? Like, is she going to be okay? And this, that, and the third. And I'm like, listen, I get it. She's family, and you guys are going to stick together no matter how icy this woman has been. And I get it. All of them at one point was at each other's throats. Okay, I'm only sitting there seeing the bad stuff in Victoria. I've not been to the party as far as watching what Adam has done or what maybe as Nick has done. So, as far as their dynamics is concerned, I can't sit there and say who's the worst sibling or who do I not like the most or anything like that. When I came and I started watching this show, Victoria was being the damn ice queen, so I chose to. I didn't really choose to. It just kind of happened where it's like, oh, this woman. All worried about her, and Nick is like, I want to make sure that Ashlyn's not dangerous. What he's losing everything like that, and what is he gonna do next? Now, I don't remember, was it Adam that was Nick saying this? I think Adam was saying this to Sally, or was it Nick? I think it was Nick. Maybe it was Nick Smith talking to Victor, but one of them was just like, well, what is his end game? And, you realize that, well, he has money. Okay, he has money. He's not worried about money. He's well off. He has his own media company. He's been running for years. So the only thing, and I think this is something that Victoria was meant to say with Billy was like, what is his end game? I think that's what it was. It was like, what is his end game? And, that's when Victoria was like, maybe it was to merge the companies and then, kind of off her, trying to get rid of her. And then, he could just have more money and more power. Um, Now, so in the previews, he does hug Victoria and, Billy, because first off, when Victoria sees Ashlyn, Billy just kind of standing. You see in the previews, you got Nick like, what in the hell is going on with all that? Like, what's that about? What's that about? Because I'm not feeling it. On a side note, and I want to talk about the previews for a little bit because somebody snipped there berating um Phyllis. Some woman in like white or gray hair is berating her. Like, how could you let Jack sit there and get close to this woman, get close to this granddaughter that just came out of nowhere? How could you sit there and encourage this relationship? And I'm like, because he's a grown ass man and he can do whatever he wants. That's why, sweetheart. Like, I mean, the way she was that they coming at Phyllis was like, you act like he's not an adult. They can't sit there and make his own decisions. And even though she does sit there and encourage this relationship, he's a smart man. He could just say no. Um, I wanted to talk about that really quickly because that just kind of annoyed me. I was like, who in the hell did this? Mm, 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 mm. And I said this before, but I probably said this a while ago. This is what I like about doing these reviews because episodes like this, where I am just like, This is 37 minutes, way longer than it needs to be about nothing. Um, I can at least sit there and talk about it, and I can have fun doing that. Sally and Adam hang out, and Sally talks about how she's a good CEO, which is like, I don't CEO. Somebody want to explain those acronyms to me because I understand CEO, but CEO, like, you know what? I mean, if anyone can explain those acronyms to me, that would be much appreciated. But I'm also sitting there thinking about it, like, why would that make sense in a fictional town called Genoa City? Yeah. Let me just double check my notes. Sometimes I sit there and I wonder about the character Ray. I really do because I'm pretty sure he was probably doing stuff really interesting, and I got to see a glimpse of him being interesting when he was talking to Chance. I think that's his name, Chase. No, it was Chance. When he was sitting there talking to Chance, he was like, get your house in order. But lately, every time I've seen him, he's just been having the most boring scenes I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Um, there's like nothing really. I mean, I guess this scene was sort of interesting a little bit because he wasn't with his wife, and again, this woman seems like she's way too like chummy, being just talking to and shooting the breeze and kind of really relaxing, with somebody else's husband. I mean, I'm pretty sure they probably had some sort of prior relationship. And I'm like, Sharon, you might want to kind of keep an eye out on whatever that is, because I, I'm not exactly feeling those vibes, and you probably shouldn't have. Um, I don't know. But to be fair, I sit there and I look at a character like Ray, and I see that he's with Chelsea, and they're talking about her son, and he's giving advice that's very questionable because it's like he's not really a parent, but whatever. Um, and I'm like, I'm not sitting there saying that the character's boring. I mean, I look at General Hospital, and I look at Sunny, and sometimes the character could be interesting, but you may not exactly give him much to really work with, you know. Um, So it just makes me sit there when I think about scenes like that where it's like, he's with somebody else but not really doing anything. It's like, am I enjoying this scene because of the character or am I enjoying this scene because it's just a good scene? It really makes me question my perspective sometimes when I'm watching these soap operas. Um, while I was not there ranting, I forgot to actually say a very important detail. So yeah, Victoria confirms to Billy that Ashlyn has been lying about his cancer and everything like that. Now, here's the thing about this whole story, and maybe this is just me doing a fan theory or whatever. So everyone has all this documents and this proof that he's been lying about this cancer, but let's just sit there and take a look at some of this stuff. Now, the scan shows up until a certain point that he's fine. But when was these scans taken? Does anyone remember when these scans was actually taken? Now, it is kind of important because, Nate was just saying he was looking at the scans. He was like, well, I don't really see anything. Um, you know what? I feel like I'm not a doctor, so I can't sit there and be like, well, if the scans is clean, then maybe he's in remission. But then it's like, well, it might sit there and show traces of something. So I don't really know about that. But again, I just kind of look at this whole thing between that and the fact that he's not on any records as far as any sort of chemo places that he's been at. Doesn't mean that he wasn't doing any chemo. I mean, my point is that I feel like there's some sort of way that Asher could sit there and try to turn this whole thing around, and and at that point, if he does, let's just then say he turns this whole thing around and he has proof that he does have it. Then what is everyone going to do? What is everyone going to sit there and do at this point? He has this somewhat, definite, proof. You know, what is that going to sit there and mean? Because it's very clear that Ashland is just not going to give up. He's not going to be run out of town. He's not going anywhere, and the question really comes to, what is he going to do next? I feel like that's about it for the most part. Yeah, I think I kind of got a lot of stuff covered. I did see previews where Michael Baldwin is alive, and she's all shocked, and she looked like she has tears in her eyes and everything like that. And that, honestly, to tell you the truth, that would seem like it was touching. But I also kind of sat there and like, you did all that work, you came up to Victor, you got up in his face, and you blamed him for getting him caught up in some sort of crazy danger or whatever. But then I'm just like, he chose that. Victor didn't put a gun to his head. You know, now I understand the fact that she was upset the fact that Victor was lying, but it's like, well, what was you gonna do? Like, if something happens to him, it's gonna be your fault. No, if something happens to Michael Baldwin, then it's gonna be Michael Baldwin's fault because again, no one put a gun to his head. He's a grown ass man. I feel like, and I understand that that's her, as his husband, that's her husband and everything like that. But I'm like, at some point, does anyone bother to take an ounce of accountability? I don't know. Maybe just her whole scene just kind of annoyed me a little bit. Her storming in there, acting like, "Oh, I'm not gonna leave until I get answers." I'm like, "Sweetheart, it's this thing called security. We can just have your ass booted up on out of there." Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank everyone for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Have a great, amazing weekend, and I will see you in the next video.